KUAM News, winner of the 2022 Regional Edward R. Murrow Award for Excellence in Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for the Culture Club.
KUAM News headlines are presented by Calvo's Insurance, a legacy of trust. Serving Micronesia since 1938, Matson celebrating 25 years of commitment to Guam, Micronesia, and the CNMI. Cars Plus, Guam's leader in sustainability and electric vehicles. Learn more at carsplusguam.com. McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it, and King's Restaurant, serving your local breakfast, lunch, and dinner favorites for over 45 years.
Ahead on KUAM News Primetime, a man charged in the 2019 killing of an American Attorney General in Yap is convicted of murder. Details from the judge's ruling coming up. Plus, the health emergency now lifted, but a limited portion remains to provide continued food stamp emergency assistance. And a 24-month waiver of the Jones Act, one lawmaker making a push for temporary waiver to help alleviate the high costs to bring in goods and supplies to the island.
Good evening. I'm Nick Delgado. Welcome to Primetime. His intention was to only scare her. Now, Anthony Tun Teteth is convicted in the murder heard around the world, the shooting of Yap's acting AG Rachel Bergeron. He faces life in prison. The second man accused in the killing also expected to learn his fate in Yap State Court this week.
3 rounds from a 12-gauge shotgun was used to take the life of Yap's acting Attorney General Rachel Bergeron. The man who pulled the trigger, Anthony Tun Teteth. The case stalled more than 3 years during the pandemic since the murder unfolded in October 2019, grabbing the attention from many who heard about the Wisconsin native's sudden death. On January 5th, the state court of Yap filed its official ruling. Teteth is now convicted of murder, conspiracy to commit murder, assault with a dangerous weapon, reckless endangering, malicious mischief, retaliation for past official action, obstruction of justice, possession of a firearm, and use of a firearm. He was acquitted of threats, criminal coercion, threats to influence official matter, and duty to report wounds or death. Judge Jonathan Tun finding that Teteth planned the killing with his cousin, co-defendant Francis Choai Buchun. The day of the shooting, Bergeron went for a run with her dog before being shot multiple times outside her home in Yap. Both Bergeron and her dog were killed. Gunfire also hitting Bergeron's car and the government house. Teteth told police in Yap his intention was only to scare the victim. But the court noting there is a whole wide range of acts he could have taken without using a shotgun and firing off 3 bullets that hit and killed Bergeron. The judge calling the case gruesome, noting Teteth took Bergeron's life for his own personal, retaliatory reasons. The FBI was involved in the investigation. Teteth and Buchun are set to appear before the FSM Supreme Court on Friday.
All plea offers are off the table from the Office of the Attorney General. That's what Defense Attorney Curtis Vandeveld told a Superior Court judge today. One of the cases he represents is against a mother accused in the death of her newborn baby, 27-year-old Melissa Fupol, appearing before Judge Vernon Perez today. Vandeveld saying this puts negotiations back at square one. Prosecuting attorney Matthew Shuck telling the court they are waiting for guidance on executing new plea negotiations. If no deal is reached, then Fupol will go to trial as early as August of this year. Fupol faces charges of manslaughter, murder, and child abuse in the 2018 killing. She's back in court March 13th to find out what happens next. Plea offers being taken off the table is a similar issue for defendant Justin Kenga, who stands accused in an officer-involved shooting in Dededo. Kenga, an officer with the Guam Police Department, appearing before Superior Court Judge Vernon Perez today. Defense Attorney Curtis Vandeveld telling the court he's waiting for potential negotiations to begin. For now, Kenga, who faces charges of manslaughter and negligent homicide, is set to go to trial this April. He remains on duty. Kenga stands accused in a shooting outside a Dededo gas station last March that killed Iope Rudolph. Investigators say Rudolph targeted people there with a slingshot prior to the shooting. Despite word from one defense attorney that the reset button is being hit on all plea offers, plea negotiations are in the works for a man charged in a shooting in Dededo. The case unfolded over money owed in a game of darts. He could be heading to trial in Superior Court this month. Defendant Jensen DeValis appearing before a judge today. Defense attorney Sam Tecker telling the court that negotiations were ongoing for a potential plea agreement, but if no deal is reached, then trial will begin on January 25th. DeVellis and co-actor Justin Duenas were accused in the August 2021 shooting along Tranquillo Court that sent another man to the hospital. Duenas has since pleaded guilty to aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and awaits sentencing. He allegedly stole a bank card from a woman he knows, withdrawing thousands of dollars to support his drug addiction. 23-year-old Nicholas Tomas Bamba charged with theft of property. Court documents state the victim was buying the suspect clothes when he used her PIN to make the purchase. The suspect was standing close by. The victim later noticing her card went missing and about $4,000 in cash was spent. Bamba allegedly admitting to police that he stole the card and withdrew money at multiple ATMs. He also allegedly admitted to authorities that he used the money to pay for his habit of using meth. In pandemic news, the year tragically begins with 3 new COVID-related deaths. They include an 86-year-old man, a 58-year-old man, and a 90-year-old woman, bringing Guam's total deaths to 414. This as the long-standing public health emergency ended for Guam over the weekend. The governor's new executive order extending the emergency SNAP allotment is an effort to be sure families still have food on the table. Natsuki Hirayama has a story.
Guam is expected to get its next round of approval from the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Food and Nutrition Service for pandemic funding. This as Governor Lou Leon Guerrero signed a new executive order specifically to help the thousands of families needing food. Guam's public health emergency, which started in March 2020, expired at midnight on Saturday, January 7th. But GovGuam isn't ready to stop requesting for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program COVID-19 emergency allotment.
It's a good help for the island because a lot of people, the prices are going up.
As many on island continue to recover and get back on their feet, the extension for SNAP benefits brings a sigh of relief for many locals like Joseph Inoña. His family are among many who are still feeling the lingering effects of the pandemic, with inflation raising the cost of living.
It helps a lot. It's good what they're doing.
According to the USDA Food and Nutrition Service, more than $73 million in SNAP emergency allotments were issued for Guam since the start of the island's public health emergency. At the start, records show more than 7,000 homes requested the funding, and by mid-2021, that number jumped to more than 12,000 households. Others we caught up with, like Marijoy Tupino Angshoko and Tumaning resident Joe, say they did not apply for the assistance but are in favor of the emergency SNAP extension.
I have nothing against it.
I mean, if it's a continuation, I guess that's a good thing. It helps the people of Guam, because people are still kind of trying to survive, I guess you can say. This whole pandemic is not over, it's still kind of continuing, so if it helps the people of Guam, then why not continue it?
The SNAP emergency is expected to continue until the national COVID-19 public health emergency is terminated. Matsuki Hirayama, KUAM News.
Thanks, Mitsuki. Well, with the rising inflation hitting across the nation, what will our economy be like in 2023? The Chamber is hosting its annual Guam Economic Outlook Forum this week. One of the presenters will be UOG professor Dr. Maria Claret Ruane, a macroeconomist specialist. She says inflation remains high, as anyone who visits a grocery store can tell you.
We experience it obviously as we hit the store, we gas up our cars. So it's, it's not just numbers for numbers' sake. It is our life, and things have become really expensive. What's the expectation for next year? Well, I mean, a lot of it is driven by fuel cost. So at least the good news is that from the summer last year, fuel costs had been decreasing. There's some indication that there is downward movement in some of the prices of where we bring our stuff from. So it's not a scientific. I mean, it's more really that I hope that our inflation would not be higher than this year's inflation, which is about 6.2%, where it's at right now.
The Chamber's Economic Outlook Forum scheduled for Thursday at 9 in the morning at the Westin's Sumnak Ballroom. Well, cleanup is nearly completed at Apra Harbor following a reported oil spill. It happened late Sunday afternoon. Port Authority of Guam General Manager Roy Respicio saying about 100 gallons of oil leaked from a fuel line at the F1 pier. This specific area is managed by TriStar Terminals Guam Inc. Respicio saying preliminary reports show the leak was coming from the oil water separator, and officials are investigating now how the oil got out and into the ocean. He says the Coast Guard and Guam EPA were contacted to make sure there is no harm caused by the spill. TriStar, Unitech, along with port personnel, are leading the cleanup. Meanwhile, in order to help bring down prices, Senator Jesse Lujan is seeking a temporary 24-month waiver of the Jones Act. It's an old law that prevents cheaper foreign-flagged carriers from shipping between U.S. ports, including Guam. Nestor Lecanto reports.
The Jones Act was passed more than a century ago to protect American shipping interests from foreign competition. It restricts the transportation of cargo between U.S. ports to ships that are American-owned and built. Offshore states and territories like Guam, Puerto Rico, and Hawaii have been seeking exemptions for years because of the higher consumer prices created. Senator Jess Lujan says inflation has hit hard and Guam needs at least a temporary waiver.
Most, if not all, our goods are acquired back in the U.S. mainland. And so that being said, it's supply and demand situation and all that, we're the furthest away from the 48 contiguous states. And so that being said, the price of goods and services offered to the people of Guam are that much more expensive for everybody. Again, I'm not asking for an exemption, a total removal. I'm just asking for a 24-month waiver for us to get back again on our feet. We're not totally on our knees, but we're not really off our knees yet as well.
Lujan's resolution is tied to Guam's growing military presence and critical geopolitical and strategic importance. He's appealing to the Department of Defense and Homeland Security, which are both authorized to waive Jones Act requirements.
We have actually a six-page argument in regards to the waiver, and everything has to do basically with the military buildup in regards to getting our waiver. And, precedents have been set already, not just in Puerto Rico, but also in the pipeline, the Colonial Pipeline.
If passed by the legislature, the non-binding resolution will be sent to Washington. For KUAM News, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
Thanks, Ness. Well, we'll have more news on the other side of the break. Keep it here. You're watching KUAM.
Get up-to-the-minute news, plus access to alerts, streaming radio, promotions, and more on your mobile device by downloading the KUAM News mobile app, available at the App Store now.
Hafiday, Guahan families! Are you interested in getting your Hunter Education certification? The Department of Agriculture's Hunter Education Program is hosting ongoing in-person classes open to Guam residents ages 13 and older. You'll learn hunter ethics and responsibility, wildlife conservation, basics of firearm and shooting skills, hunting equipment and techniques, survival skills, outdoor field skills, and more. The class meets the International Hunter Education Association national standards and does not expire. Attendees must pre-register in advance by emailing jane.dia@doag.guam.gov. Student manuals must be completed before the class day. Classes are open on a first-come, first-served basis. Students under 18 must be accompanied by a parent or legal guardian. And if you can't attend our in-person class, don't worry. You may also register for the online Hunter Education Certification course by emailing jane.dia@doag.guam.gov. Safe hunting begins with Hunter Education.
It only gets better with more. Customize and save with the fastest internet speeds in the Marianas by adding mobile, phone, and TV to your bundle with Business Bundles Plus. Docomo Pacific Business. Work better together.
What you need to know from the Northern Marianas. Follow KUAM CNMI on Instagram for the latest regional headlines.
Welcome back to KUAM. The CNMI ushered in new gubernatorial leadership, marking many firsts with promises to rebuild trust that the new administration says was broken by former Governor Ralph Torres. Tomas Menglonia reports from the inauguration of Governor Arnold Palacios and Lieutenant Governor David Apatang.
The people have spoken and their voices were heard.
Governor Arnold Palacios making that declaration after taking his oath of office at the Multipurpose Center on Saipan, the same grounds the island's first governor, Carlos Camacho, took his oath. Palacios and Lieutenant Governor David Apatang making history of their own as the first candidates from an unrecognized party to take the seat, making the case that they're past party politics.
There will be no me alone in your Palacios administration. It will always be we, and we are all in this together.
Apatang, now former Saipan mayor, is the first veteran to serve as lieutenant governor and said he wants to work closely with the Department of Defense to prioritize civilians in future developments in the region. The new administration echoing their campaign promise of opening up the Commonwealth's financial books to remedy the allegations that plagued former Governor Ralph Torres regarding extravagant spending and sweetheart deals.
We are all in. We are all in to rebuild trust, restore confidence, and to bring back integrity and credibility to our government.
Palacios, now the former lieutenant governor, not pulling any punches about his former running mate Torres, who was a no-show to his ceremony.
When unchecked, the arrogant use of power never amounts to any good. The people saw through the attempts to hide what greed and corruptions have sown.
Palacios acknowledging the hardship ahead as they work to stabilize the island's fiscal health with a stern warning.
We will review past use of public funds and will pursue, with the assistance of the Attorney General, the options of recoupment from those individuals and companies that are made out like bandits. Our people deserve better.
Palacios and Apatang now tasked with delivering on their word. Tomas Manglonia for KUAM News on Saipan.
Thanks, Tomas. Well, CNMI Attorney General Edward Manabusan took his oath of office in a private ceremony on Saipan Saturday morning. Manabusan defeating former Judge Juan Lezama in the race for the seat in November and remains the first elected person to the office, which he entered in 2015. Manabusan was joined by his staff, family, and friends as he highlighted the office's priorities.
We will engage the administration in making changes to regulations that are necessary to curb waste and abuse in the administration of contracts and other expenditures of public funds.
Manabusan also made history last April, filing criminal charges against former Governor Ralph Torres related to alleged illegal first-class travel and misuse of funds. The high-profile case still underway in NMI Superior Court. NMI mayors take their oath of office this morning. Mayor of Rota, Aubrey Hokog, makes history after being sworn in as the first woman elected to the position in Commonwealth history. She took her oath of office at the CNMI Supreme Court. Her ceremonial swearing-in is set for next week on Rota. Mayor of Tinian Edwin Aldon took his oath at the CNMI Supreme Court this morning on Saipan after the Tinian Municipal Council members were sworn in. His ceremonial inauguration set for Friday on Tinian. Northern Mariana Mayor Valentino Tysican takes his oath in the CNMI Superior Court. His ceremonial inauguration set for later this evening. And Mayor of Saipan R.B. Camacho delivering his inaugural address on Saipan after being sworn into office this morning in front of his office. This is Camacho's third run for the seat, which he won in November. After 14 unsuccessful and contentious attempts, the House finally voted in a new speaker, Kevin McCarthy. For Guam, that means Congressman James Moylan was officially sworn in as the first Republican delegate in 20 years. The final tally came in early Saturday, Guam time. According to Moylan's office, there may be a more formal swearing-in ceremony this week. Delegate Moylan will also have comments on the speaker election drama and his plans for the new Congress. And President Biden with Leader McCarthy to congratulate him on the victory. In a statement overnight, Mr. Biden saying he is prepared to work with House Republicans and, quote, to ensure that we're putting the interests of American families first.
The next Speaker of the 118th Congress, Kevin McCarthy.
After 4 days, 14 failed votes, and a furious Friday night negotiation,
for the 15th and God willing final time, Kevin McCarthy.
The Speaker is in the House.
I knew it took a couple extra days.
At one point Friday night, tensions were so high, Alabama Republican Mike Rogers made a move to confront Florida's Matt Gaetz, one of McCarthy's loudest Republican critics, as a colleague held him back.
Madam Clerk, I rise to say, wow.
But right as it seemed the chamber might leave for the weekend, a breakthrough.
The Honorable Kevin McCarthy of the state of California
having received a majority of the votes cast, is duly elected Speaker of the House of Representatives.
4 of the 6 holdouts changed their vote to present, dropping the number required and allowing McCarthy to win. In order to grab the gavel, the new speaker made several concessions, including making it easier for any member to oust him and giving his more conservative Republican opponents
a lot of his powers and influence.
Political analyst Larry Sabato.
Does anybody believe that Republicans will suddenly reunify when we get to all these controversial policy issues they're planning to cover? I suspect the fighting will be even fiercer.
First among those potential conflicts could be the debt ceiling. Those 6 holdouts have said they won't raise the U.S. credit limit without specific spending cuts that could put them on a direct collision course with Democrats in the Senate and the White House, putting America's credit rating at risk. Christina Ruffini, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Back here at home, seems things have cooled off at Guam Homeland Security Office of Civil Defense. It was in September of last year when KUAM paid a visit to the 911 call center where fire and police emergency dispatchers were feeling the heat. The air conditioning unit, a 30-ton chiller, had been down for weeks. There only relieved several large fans. According to Homeland Public Information Officer Jenna Blas, a purchase order had been issued since November 10th for the installation of a rented 50-ton air conditioning unit. The installation was completed the following week, and right before the new year, GFD dispatchers moved back to Homeland. GPD confirms their dispatchers made the move last Friday. In keeping with repairs, GPD Police Chief Stephen Ignacio saying that the Frankie Smith precinct in Tumon back on island power. Earlier today, the Guam Power Authority was able to make necessary repairs. It was right before the new year when the precinct was forced to go on generator power after an electrical fire occurred within the fuse box. Now for a look at your world at home, here's a view captured from the lookout at Fort Soledad in Humatac. The Guam National Weather Service forecasting Tuesday will be mostly cloudy skies and 40% chance of rain and isolated thunderstorms.
We've made a lot of breakfasts, and along the way, we noticed something was missing. A warm cinnamon roll for breakfast, or with breakfast. A fluffy blueberry muffin from the drive-thru you're already driving through. A glazed apple fritter, which might find its way into your coffee. These are options every breakfast haver should have, and now they do. Meet the new bakery sweets at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
New year, new you, new adventures. How about a new Jeep to go along with it? It is the Start Something New sales event happening now at Cars Plus. Experience a new level of freedom and adventure in the new Jeep Gladiator. Or how about the all-new legendary Jeep Grand Cherokee L? The most awarded SUV ever now features a fresh interior design and 3 rows of seating. Call us at 671-477-7807 or visit our website at carsplusguam.com to get pre-approved online today.
KUAM Sports is brought to you by Docomo Pacific. Better together.
The gentleman joining me right now in the KUAM News Zoom room, none other than Coach Dom Sablan at Guam Elite Basketball and also Clutch Sports. Very good friend of ours. And Dom, good to see you as always. Happy New Year, bro.
Happy New Year, Jace. I appreciate you having me on, man.
And, you know, being, I guess, at our age and everything, we can call you like an OG baller from, like, you know, from those great FD teams of which you were a point guard and everything. But we're in preseason right now. And so, you know, you're seeing a lot of teams do, getting their feet wet, trying different lineups, you know, like really get a feel for who they want to be heading into the regular high school season. So from your expert opinion, everything, what are you seeing right now and who looks really good heading into the season?
Yeah, you know, this preseason's been interesting. Going into it, as opposed to the last few years, you couldn't really put a stamp on who's going to be the top team in between both leagues, right? Between the ISA and IIAG. Mm-hmm. And over the last week during our Clutch Classic tournament, you're seeing teams kind of come out from under and really making a name for themselves. FD, St. Paul, those are always going to be your typical powerhouses, and they've shown it. actually #1 in their pools, respectively. But you got teams that, you got young teams coming up, such as Ukadu, led by Coach Arlene Mad. They got a solid point guard in Elpizo Orichiro. He's probably one of the best point guards in the league right now. And then you got teams like, JFK is looking to rebuild this year. Simon Sanchez has a lot of size. So it's real interesting dynamics when you look at the rosters, and you kind of see them improve game by game within the preseason. So it's been fun to watch. And in my opinion, I mean, right now, FD and St. Paul, they just have a lot of depth and a lot of experience on their teams. It's one of those years where they spent the last 2-3 years rebuilding, and now it's kind of their time to shine. Their senior class is really, really great. But then you got
deep bench is invaluable too.
Oh, for sure. Well coached, Coach Jimmy, Coach Julian Canovas. They've been around the game for so long, been coaching high school boys for so long. So as of now, FD St. Paul definitely on top. But you can't sleep on teams like Ukadu and Simon Sanchez. They can win on any given night.
Okay,
for sure.
So, and of course, you guys over at Clutch Sports, you guys are documenting it in such a rich, interactive way and everything. So, what do you guys got going like on a Clutch for sports fans that always want to see this stuff online?
Yeah, so I mean, we just do our best to show visually what we're experiencing at these events or at these high school games, and just adding our flavor and our style to what we create, right? So the community's been very involved in what we're doing. We take a lot of their feedback on how we can improve the storytelling, improve the visuals, and we're just continuing to do what we love to do, and it's been working out great for us.
Fantastic. And real quick, where can people find you on social?
Yeah, so you can follow us primarily on Instagram at Clutch Guam. Also, we're also on Facebook and YouTube as well, at Clutch Guam as well. So those are the 3 primary platforms we use, and yeah, it's been great.
All right, absolutely amazing stuff. And I got to ask you this because, I mean, you've got a really nice lid on right now. That's a sweet hat. But are you getting a lot of crap from your fellow FD friars? You're friar through and through for life, but you're wearing JFK colors now. So what's up with that?
Yeah, I get some looks here and there at the jungle, and I have myself. I gotta explain myself and just let them know I enjoy the colorway. Nothing against JFK. I enjoy watching you guys. But I'm a FD alum, and yeah, it's interesting conversations. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I love JFK basketball, and I went to Sanchez. So all right, so that's Coach Dom Sablan with Guam Elite Basketball and Clutch Sports. Thanks a lot, brother.
Thanks, Chase.
KUAM Sports is brought to you by Docomo Pacific. Better together.
Don't need a work break, keep the smile on your face. The moments you can't replay, and I'll be around. Whoa. You can count on me. You can count on me for life.
Wherever life takes you, we're always here for you. Calvo's Insurance. Count on us for life.
Hey, you want to order some Taco Bell?
Two grilled chicken burritos, 2 bold flavors. Order on the app, only at Taco Bell.
Mugdefin, ik Filipin, ubeni William Ragan van Boga van in feka vaccine. Ik heb feka vaccine dat ze hebben ja maro, murusunan rago mga kaba na maron coronavirus mregela amaro ervan no vaccine. Ube encourage na ubinigidi van rangan en feka vaccine marafal raiwege mokraiwege gida natibna rom ngidi ulan community room. Winningodan gadubin rayam na feka vaccine. Kems mukamgaragad.
For more information, talk to your doctor or call the Guam Immunization Program at 671-735-7143. This message is brought to you by the Department of Public Health and Social Services and funded through a federal grant with the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. funded by CDC grant number 6N H238IP922-638-02-06.
Finally tonight, your Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club shout-out submitted on KUAM.com.
Happy birthday wishes on this January 9 to some truly amazing and special Guamanians, led off by Anthony Joseph Meno, whose birthday shout-out says, "To the love of my life, I wish you the happiest birthday and I love you." Princessa Zimani Nicole Pokagui Pangilinan, happy superstastic Sweet 7 to our Princessa. We love you above and beyond. Lots of love from your guardian angel daddy, mommy, your loving siblings, ama, papa, and the whole Bella Torres family. Happy birthday to you, Princessa. And to Grandpa Domingo, who celebrates birthday number 60 this year. Happy birthday, Grandpa, coming with all the love in the world from Axel and the family.
And that's your primetime show. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Nick Delgado. Be safe and good night.
KUAM News Hotspot is brought to you by
Pacific Points, Do More, Get More, and Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
Good morning, everybody. Hafaday, buenas. I'm Jason Salas, and we are KUAM. We are in Harmon, and we are coming to you worldwide. We're on YouTube right now, live. We're on Facebook Live, so if you happen to be a little someone finding out what our YouTube link is, you can check out youtube.com/KUAM News, and we will stream right to your phone. We got a lot to get to, so let's get this thing started.
The menu, brought to you by King's Restaurant, always open, always local, and Ruby Tuesday Guam, home of the fresh garden bar.
All right, coming up on your show of shows today, we will check in with our Tomas Manglonia, who was in Saipan for inauguration festivities. Also, we're going to talk with the director of the Department of Youth Affairs to get an update with programs and services that department oversees. And with Monday being Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday a week from today, we'll get details on how our friends at the Serve Guam Commission and AmeriCorps will honor the American legend. And we're going to close out the show with a look at your island weather and find out what is going on with all of that rain that we had yesterday. But it is now official that the two highest elected seats in the CNMI have taken office, and our Tomas Manglonia was there to cover it all and has this report.
I'm reporting live outside of the Multi-Purpose Center, where at this hour, Governor Arnold Palacios and Lieutenant Governor David Apatang will be taking their oath of office and delivering their inaugural address. The inauguration marathon began on Saturday with the swearing-in of AG Edward Manabusan, and this morning with the CNMI mayors. And just past midnight today, the soft swearing-in was held for Arnold Palacios and David Apatang, where we got a chance to speak with them both.
Just your comments as you are now officially in your seat before the symbolic ceremonial swearing in at 10 a.m.
Well, we're officially sworn in. And you know, like the last sentence, so help us God. We ask our Lord for his guidance, and as we lead the Commonwealth. So yeah, it's surreal, but we will work very hard. Yes.
And Lieutenant Governor Apatang?
Oh yeah, thank you. Good evening. It's midnight already, and we're officially sworn in as governor and lieutenant governor. And I want to thank our voters of the Commonwealth, our people who supported us and gave us this responsibility to move the Commonwealth forward to a better life for everybody. Again, thank you, and tomorrow again, it's a big day for us at Inauguration Day.
The Palacios-Apatang administration will be taking office today, and they will be the first independents to hold that seat, and also both the oldest people to hold that office. We'll have more tonight on Primetime. For now, I'm Tomas Manglonia, reporting for KUAM News on Saipan.
All right, thanks so much, Tomas. Great job covering that. If you want to see any of Tomas's extended interviews with any of the newly elected leaders
up in the NMI. Make sure to check out our YouTube channel. Once again, youtube.com/KUAM News. All right, joining me now on the KUAM couch to talk about the legendary, the American icon, the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and the day that now in America bears his name. And the MLK Day of Service are our friends from Sanctuary, the director of the AmeriCorps program, Edward Mesa of Sanctuary AmeriCorps, and Charlene Masimuemai of UOG AmeriCorps. Half a day, guys.
Half a day.
Half a day. All right, thank you so much for joining me. This is something, of course, to honor Dr. King, that we do every year. First of all, how do we actually make sure that his teachings, his philosophy, the lessons that he taught us, how do we make sure that those are preserved over time?
So with Serve Guam and all of the AmeriCorps programs on Guam, we every day, our 9 to 5, so to speak, is giving back to the community, service in the community, whether it's through our focus areas in education, environmental stewardship, and others, but also during the pandemic, if you got vaccinated at the field house, 9 out of 10 times that was probably an AmeriCorps member who did your pre-screening. And so that's how, and then MLK is about, one of his greatest quotes was, everybody can be great because everybody can serve. And so when we're coming up on this holiday, it's a day off. It's a day off for government, for everybody, but it's just a reminder to everybody that it's a day off, but it's actually a day on. So pick that day to give back to your community.
I like that.
Whether it's to your neighbor, elderly neighbor who maybe needs help cutting the grass, or with your mayor's office to help do something that needs to be done in the community, whether it's beautification or revitalizing a building that's run down or whatever it is.
Yeah, I was going to say, Ed, certainly not a day off for those of you who work at AmeriCorps, because you guys are working really, really hard to make sure that Dr. King's legacy is honored here in the island. And I would probably say because what we believe as Guamanians, right?
Yes.
Like, not necessarily like Chamorro, but anybody that calls this wonderful island our home is giving back and making sure that, that we've got the blessings that we have, that we can help our fellow.
Yes.
Yeah, so in your opinion, how do we make sure that, and what's being done as far as activities to honor Dr. King?
Well, just started off with the actual event that will be on next week, Monday, January 16th. Our MLK National Service event is at the Micronesia Mall Center Court from 11 to 3. So at 11 o'clock, it kicks off with the governor and the lieutenant governor doing the proclamation signing. Then right after is the legislative resolution. And then we have some guest speakers that will be doing speeches, who will be talking about the importance of MLK. And then that usually will run maybe about an hour long. And then we go right into our community outreach event where we will have all the Guam AmeriCorps programs and other community organizations that will be talking about their programs and how people can get involved with their organization.
Mm-hmm. A lot of, Charlene, what happens with a lot of Dr. King Day's festivities are reaching out to youth and making sure that, like it happens in schools, and you always see, there are poster contests, I know, and essay contests and whatnot. Have you guys been like out to the actual schools ahead of MLK Day?
So this week, actually, we're heading out to a couple of elementary schools, and we're trying to connect with Ukadu High School to kind of go over who is MLK first of all.
That'd be good because you get the Ukadu
yes.
and the FB communities
yes.
at the same time because they're both there.
Yes, so we're that's this week. We have what schools are you going to?
Yeah, so we're going to Ontalon, I know that, BMS, MU Lujan, Talafofa Elementary School. So we'll be doing school presentations pretty much this whole week. Mm-hmm. And then Saturday is our second Saturday of the month where we do a community project out there. So, yeah.
Mm. When you think and when you reflect on what Dr. King said and the impact he had and the way that his words continue to resonate to this day, mm-hmm. and that was like back in the 60s, right? The early 60s.
Right.
How strong of a bearing does it have on you? Because the world's such a crazy place today. We had the pandemic, there's all this geopolitical stuff going on and everything. What lessons can we take away in addition to service, like still that, let us drive home, what he believed in?
I think it's also rooted in our culture, right? So it's not a every man for himself type deal. It's like when you're going to do something, when something needs to be done, you don't just think about yourself. You have to take others with you in your community and uplift together, because that's how we can continue to strive and move on, is if we work together. The impact is bigger when work as a community to get things done.
Yeah, my grandfather on my dad's side always told me, he's like, if you take 2 scoops of rice and everything, and somebody comes along, he's like, you have the other one. He's like, you always make sure that if you have the opportunity to help somebody, that you seize that opportunity.
Right.
Okay, how can people get in touch with you guys, Ed, if they feel, because about giving back, I'm sure you guys need help to get the word out and to conduct all these activities, because you guys got a busy day.
Yeah, sure. So, for more information about MLK event on Monday, they can just contact me. My number is 671-687-7194, or they can email me at emesa@AmericorpsGuam.org. Yeah.
And what is working for AmeriCorps, having that solid grounding and that foundation of, service to the community and, being stewards of, what we believe in? What does that mean to each of you?
What does that mean to me? My goodness. So I was mentioning last week that when I was younger, I didn't know that this is what I wanted to do when I grew up, right? Just the giving back aspect of the community. And when we were in the middle of a pandemic and we were trying to recruit AmeriCorps members to join our program, we thought it was going to be difficult because nobody wants to leave their homes. Nobody, we're locked down and everything. But when we send the word out that we need AmeriCorps members to help us to serve the community, the response that we got was, I couldn't believe that, people want to volunteer, want to give back to the community. They just don't know who to contact, where do you go, who do you talk to say, hey, I want to help here, how do I do this? And so just being out there and being kind of the middleman for the youth to give back to their community and exposing them to all of these things that they wouldn't have been exposed to if they were just if they didn't have the opportunity to join the AmeriCorps program. Well, it's just rewarding.
Let me ask you, Ed, because there may be some people watching this right now, even young people, even maybe more mature people that said, I want to contribute. This island's been very, very good to me, but I don't know if I have the right skill set. I was never in student government, I don't, like me, I don't consider myself to be a leader. I don't know if I've got what it takes to be an effective volunteer. What would you say to those people to inspire them?
You just have to go out and do it. Just doesn't matter how big or how small. Just go out, serve your community in whatever way you want to serve. Yeah.
I think Charlene said it best. It's when MLK Day is here and everything, if you happen to be mowing your own lawn, mow your neighbors too.
Yep.
If they're cool with it.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's even things as simple as that, right? Or if you see your neighbor mowing their lawn, bring them over, some water or something like that. So it doesn't have to be some big grand production and everything like that. Service can start at a very small level and still have a huge impact, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Ed, final words on what MLK is going to mean for our island community and our island family.
I mean, MLK means so much, and it's important that we invite everybody and anybody on next week, Monday, to come out and, listen to the guest speakers, see what our AmeriCorps program have to offer to the community and how they can get involved with AmeriCorps. Every year, every single day, 365 days in a year, we are constantly recruiting volunteers and AmeriCorps members. So please come out, join our event, ask questions, get involved.
All right, because when you volunteer, you're practicing Nafa Maulik. That's something that each and every one of us believe. We take care of our neighbors, we take care of, because we're all family here. So Charlene and Ed, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you on the road.
Yes.
We'll try and catch up with you guys because you guys will be all over the place, but we'll be there too.
All right.
All right, please stay tuned because we are talking to Melanie Brennan, the Director of the Department of Youth Affairs, about programs that the agency oversees when we come back right here in the hotspot.
Guam's auto appearance specialist, Elegant Reflections, has been providing the automotive industry with professional detailing and car care products at its highest quality, from complete detailing, full interior detailing, exterior detailing, headlamp restoration, hand washing, seat and carpet shampoo, engine degreasing, undercarriage cleaning, paint sealant, fabric protection, paint oxidation removal, and so much more. Visit us at our new location. Call 646-5555 for an appointment. Elegant Reflections, Guam's auto appearance specialist, over 20 years of experience.
How deep do Pizza Hut's roots run in the islands? Through all the decades, we know what you love. Great taste at an even better price. Like our large 3-topping carry-out pizza for just $13.99. You choose your favorite toppings, meat, vegetables, or any combination that totals 3. our $13.99 large 3-topping pizza. Order online and carry one out today. Only at Pizza Hut, the island's best.
KUAM News, winner of the 2022 Regional Edward R. Murrow Award for Excellence in Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for the Culture Club.
Joining me now in the KUAM News Zoom room is the one and only Melanie Brennan. She, of course, is the Director of Department of Youth Affairs. Melanie, Hafaday, and Happy New Year to you and your staff over there at DYA.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you as well.
All right. The agency is so very critical in our islands, our way of life, our culture, new year, new mission, but unfortunately also the challenges that you faced as an agency, those have carried over as well and everything. So what are you doing as a team and as a department to, like, address some of those things that linger?
Okay, so, the emergency declaration has been uplifted. And so, of course, that gives us an opportunity to bring in more programming, more activities for our youth residents. And we have already been in communication and leveraging our nonprofit support, from West Care, from Manetlu, from even, Bake Their Day. We're bringing people in so that our youth residents can experience, what the kids in their communities are experiencing. As you know, like even with the newly resurrected Summer Youth Employment Program, the governor had authorized us to hire our residents, right, within the Department of Corrections. So we all gave them jobs. They all had something to do during the summer. And that's really what we're trying to do. We're trying to give our youth residents purposeful activity that they probably would not get, if they were outside. So we hook them up with jobs. We hook them up with any of the not-for-profit, even government agency services, so that when they leave here, they somehow have benefited from being here. And I guess that's what we want to do differently. Mm-hmm. We want to make sure that kids who come here, first off, that it's rare, that, not anyone should come here just because they were picked up. If there's alternative placement in the community, that's, DYA should be a last resort. And so, yes, we want to make sure that, that it's rare, but we also want to make sure it's fair. And so we want to look at ethnic disparities and, why that is so. So we want to address that as well. We want to encourage our staff to get, to develop professionally. And one of the blessings of COVID was that it really opened up virtual opportunities. We're on webinars, we are now all trained in adolescent development, adolescent behavior, so that professionals who are working with kids actually have training, back to training. So it's not just, oh, I'm a corrections officer. I'm a corrections officer, but I have experience and I've taken training on how to deal with adolescents. So really, 2023 is opening.
Almost like the psychology of your clients as well, right? Not just like, okay, you have to be in this room at a certain time, or, you follow a very rigid schedule, but also, behaviorally, why are they're doing what you do, and how you can, how you can address them and, and affect them in a more positive way much quicker, I would assume.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So it's not about like, oh, what did you do? It's how did you get here? How did you get to this point? And how can we help you? And so what we've noticed about our kids, if you look at our population now, and I guess that's the good thing about having a case management system, we can look at our kids as individuals, but collectively. And we can look at ethnic disparities, but we can also look at kids that are dually involved, meaning they're part of the child welfare system. There's some abuse and neglect in their history, as well as the juvenile justice system. So we call that dually involved. And over half our population currently is dually involved. And so that's a statistic that is something we want to look at. We want to understand better. And we want the community to understand that these youth don't just commit crimes. There's a whole story behind each individual. And so how we really stand to help them and to make them thrive in the community, because they're juveniles, they're going to be released anyway. How we help them is we look at the root causes of why they intersected with the juvenile justice system in the first place. And so if they have no stable home environment, our social workers work with them to find placement. And DYA should not be alternative placement for kids in the child welfare system, but sometimes they end up, that's what happens. And so we really want to work at those root causes. Mm-hmm. So again, 2023 gives us an opportunity to really, really look at, how we as practitioners in juvenile justice can develop ourselves, but how we can better help the youth that we come across.
I'm sure that case management system, Mel, is sorely needed and very much welcome at your agency, because I mean it's not just the cases that you deal with they are, as you said, they are human beings, and these are young people in our community, but it's not transactional where you just like, okay, well, your client number 1, 2, 3, 4.
It's definitely,
you're not just a folder in the back. Yeah, you're managing a relationship.
Yeah, it's about
We did that at the same
relationships.
time.
Yeah, it's about those relationships and developing those relationships. And also, when you're working with the youth, you really have to think about who they're going home to, whether it's parents or caregivers, because their success is intertwined, right? Is connected to the success of their parents or caregivers. So we're not only helping the youth, we want to help the family, we want to engage the family, and we want to make sure that that we have successful outcomes. I mean, it so often, actually too often, you hear about youth who graduate from this system into the adult system. It's like we knew where they were going, but we didn't divert them. And so it's about diversions, it's about deflections, it's about helping them when they leave here.
Okay, Mel, before I let you go, I want to also give you the ability to, shine the light on a lot of the positive things. And, DYA is doing so many positive things and everything, but in dealing with cases, we want to hear about the success stories.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's too often, right? We're only talking about the correctional side, but a lot of the large, the good work happens in our youth resource centers, right? We have 3 youth resource centers. We offer mentoring. We offer after-school care. We have intercession camps during the holiday breaks and summer camps during the summer. And so these camps, these resource centers exist to provide positive youth development opportunities for all our kids, right? And that's like one of the critical areas and components that we have to prevent delinquency, is to provide kids with opportunities, all kids with opportunities, so that everybody's at a level playing field. So we just closed one of our Christmas camps just recently, and so now we're going to open up to just the regular after school resource center activities.
Okay,
So
I would love to do like a live stream, or talk to you about that. We'll get you back on, to talk about that. That's a fantastic program.
That would be perfect, and actually have it down at one of the centers, and maybe talk to the kids that are involved.
Oh yes, please. That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. So
rather than my face, rather than my face, talk to the kids, talk to the parents.
Right on. Well, it is part of who we are as Guamanians. We're taught to, honor those who came before us, but also to make sure that we care for and teach the next generation and the youth. So Melanie Brennan of the Department of Youth Affairs, you folks, fine folks over there, are truly doing the Lord's work. And we always congratulate you on your successes, and we wish you the best going into 2023.
Thank you so much.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Get up-to-the-minute news, plus access to alerts, streaming radio, promotions, and more on your mobile device by downloading the KUAM News mobile app, available at the App Store now.
What's the move? What's the move? What's the move?
Honey, do you want some milk?
Do you ever wonder how your favorite products make their way into your local stores? Most arrive on state-of-the-art Matson vessels that transport containers of food, household items, equipment, and supplies into the islands every week. Because we know that you depend on us, we work closely with our partners to ensure that our shipments arrive on time, all the time, so you can find your favorite products when you need them. We transport the region's most precious cargo that supports successful businesses and promotes a better quality of life for our families. Matson is proud to have been the hometown shipping carrier for Guam, the CNMI, and Micronesia for the past 25 years, and you can count on us to be here for generations to come.
What you need to know from the Northern Marianas. Follow KUAM CNMI on Instagram for the latest regional headlines.
Let's talk about the weather, shall we? Because if you live on Guam, as I do, and you really, really love the island weather, as I do, and you were trying to exercise yesterday, as I was, you were not able to because there was a lot of the wet stuff coming from directly above us. Now, who better to explain why and, more importantly, where we go from here than my buddy Landon Aylett. He is at the National Weather Service. At times like these, like our friends at the NWS, and, you know, so appreciated, so critical. So let's go into the KUAM News Zoom room right now where Landon is stationed. He's, of course, over in the office at TZN. So, Landon, I know you guys were saying ahead of time that you were expecting really, really rainy day yesterday, really, really rainy day today. I guess 1 out of 2 ain't bad.
Yeah, 1 out of 2 is not that bad. The rain definitely did come down across Guam yesterday. It was more of a Guam and Rota event and not so much for Tinian and Saipan where they had that shear line. We had these two features coming together generally over the Mariana Islands. That was a weak tropical wave coming out of Central Micronesia coming up into the Mariana Islands. At the same time, we had a shear line dropping down southward over the Mariana Islands. I'm going to turn my screen around just a little bit. This is what we're looking at. So we had that the surface, the tropical wave coming up from Chuk. It was more or less a open wave surface trough as opposed to a closed low-level circulation. So that was not so bad to speak of. But we had this old cold front of boundary, a shear line, that's been dropping down southward, and that's kind of stalled out this morning over Rota, Tinian, and Saipan. The winds have been picking up gradually across Guam at the airport. We saw the winds around 5 to 6 miles per hour this morning. Now they're upwards of 10 to 15 miles per hour. But as you go up northward across the island chain, those winds really pick up. And that's because of the stronger winds that exist along and north of that shear line, where we've been seeing sustained winds of 15 to 20 miles per hour at Saipan with gusts up to 30 to 32 miles per hour this morning. So the good news for Saipan, we've not had that heavy convective rainfall. That's where you're more indicative of showers and thunderstorms with that deep convection, because they have the governor's inauguration up there this morning, and that was an outdoor event, I believe, around 10 o'clock this morning. So we've been holding our breath up there, but right now the radar does not look bad up there, with just a lot of light to moderate showers, and it's all shallow moisture, so it's riding below the radar beam well up to our north. So if we're not seeing it on our radar down here, then it means it's shallow moisture. It's just more light nuisance rainfall and drizzle, and that's what they've been dealing with the gusty winds. With this heavier showers and thunderstorms, that was between Rota and Tinian. That's now all dissipating nicely, and it's really not a bad day at this time. The current forecast on the street may need to be updated because we have an abundant amount of sunshine across Guam, and it looks like we're going to be some peaks of sunshine at Tinian and Saipan as well. So really not a bad day with all the rainfall yesterday. We had rainfall totals anywhere between 2 and 4 inches of rain across Guam, with some flash flooding occurring down in Maritza, the Barcenas housing area. Those are the typical areas for flooded streets, and that river that cuts into that 90-degree angle right along Route 4, and then it curves and goes under the highway there. That was
Can we talk about that for a second, because I follow you guys on social media, as everybody should, and we highly make sure follow NWS Guam on all social media platforms. They put out amazing information. I know the initial projections, and again, these are forecasts on Saturday night, where the Guam might receive 3 to 5 inches of rain. I'm not sure if that was a little bit more on the conservative end or maybe like an overestimation, but you said we got about 2 to 4. And now that I think about it, we got pretty good doses of rain multiple times yesterday, but for the most part, it was just a really, really overcast day.
Yeah, it was definitely overcast. A little bit of a delay to the rainfall yesterday morning, but the hot spot was in Tumuni. We had about 3.5 inches measured at one of the gauges, and then in several other measurements around 3+ inches in Dededo and also southern Guam. So those are the hot spots. We did not see anybody reporting 5 inches or 8 inches or 10 inches, and so this was not a significant, memorable rain event by any means. So it's just it was a wet pattern here in the windy dry season.